Hi, in this very short video, I'm going to show you how simple and easy is it to record a pandas data frame or any set of data into a SQLite3 database. It just requires a few lines of code and just a bit of background. If you're starting out with Python and pandas, I would suggest using this method to store data because you get two things. One, you have a good data container to store your data, and two, you are starting to learn the backend database side of things as well. So it is extremely simple, and I'm going to jump in straight into the code here. So the first bit is like you have to have a data frame. I am going to very quickly show you the data frame I have got with the data, and let me just. This is the basic code. You can see my other videos as well as to how to read the data to a data frame, but the objective is just to show that we have got some data. So here you can see that we have four columns: class, sections, number of student, average grade. And our objective is to get this data into a database. Now, within pandas, there is a built-in function which is called toSQL function. And we just need two lines of code, as I said at the start. One, to connect to a database or to create a new database. So when you import SQLite3 and it comes pre-packed, you don't even need to install any libraries. The first line of code you need to write is create a connection or a conn, where as simple as that. So you can give this a full path here, but in case you don't give it a full path, it's gonna go to the same location as where your Python files are being stored. So very simple, first line of code will create a database in this location, and if you have no database, well, if you already have a database set up, it's just gonna connect to that. And the second line of code is so straightforward. All you have to do is this is the data frame. So the data frame you have created here, you just call the toSQL method. So you give it the data frame name and then toSQL. And the first bit here is you are going to give a table name. So a very quick intro. SQLite database is a collection of tables. You can create different sorts of tables within the database. I'll do another video explaining that. But in this video, the first bit of coding is you're giving that table a name. Then you're saying create a table from this data frame, give it a name, average grades, and by the way, use the conn or the connection, which is this bit here, to connect to that bit database. And if it exists, just replace. And I'll come later to this bit replace here. And then index is false. So you would see a lot of code with SQL where you have to commit changes to a database, but the df2 SQLite method already has the commit method built in, so you really don't need to replicate that code. So this bit should literally get this set of information into a backend database. So let's run that, and I'll use the code here. So if I run this bit of code, you can see that the process has finished. So we should have the data saved in the DB browser. So DB browser is simply a software you could use to connect to a database. So you can query your database, but you could also use the system. So all you need to do is download this very simple software. It's free to use. It's extremely handy. And then go to your location and select the file you have created. And very simply, and you can see the reason the name is test here. Let me show you why it's test. It's simply because we called the connection test. So if the file existed, it would connect to that and would create a new file. So that is why we have this test database file. So this is your database file. And if you go in here, browse data, and you can see class, section numbers to average grades, all of that is in here. So this is all you need to do to create a database in Python, pandas, and SQL3. Now, last bit of code, again, I'll show you how, because we've already created our database, now we can read the data back into Python as well. So we again create a connection. Now we're reading the same database, and from that database, it's a simple PD read SQL query. And then you can see this average grades here is the name of the table. So we're saying select everything from that table. And let me run this code and see what happens. So you can see the same data comes back in here. Now, one more comment before I end the video. Uh, Perhaps an important bit to consider is I've used replace here. What replace would do is every time I read the same data frame, it would just rewrite over it. But if you use the append method, you are going to see the in the append method that the data would get keep being stored sequentially below the existing data. So we just simply replicate quite a lot of data set with the replace bit, but it has its uses, and I'll do another video to go through that. Hopefully you have found this video useful. Please comment and I can answer your questions as well. Thank you. Bye.